Hey Michaela, I finally had a little time to come in and finish this guy up, and I just wanted to show you the pattern. It's an equilateral triangle, which you probably knew already, but the proportions that you'll need with the brick that you're using, the 8 inch by 2 1/4 inch, are these proportions. So you'll need to set your divisions on your wall to fit these. But basically, the component has a point here, 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 and here, and these bricks are glued to it. And this is one of the repeating patterns, and we'll look at another one. I made two, and it's kind of up to you which one you want to use. Um, but you'll need to set the proportion of the divisions either exactly to this, or if you want it bigger, the proportion, is like this is 0.5773 of this, and it'll work. But you just need to adjust for it. All right, so let's go ahead and put it in Revit. So I'm just going to make a new model. This is one way to do it. We can talk about another way to do it. I'm just going to go to component, model in place, and I'm going to use a mass. This is the way that you should really put it in here, and it's really the only way to put it in a project without going through a family. So I'll just name it wall. And I'll go to my 3D view, and I'm going to do kind of what we've been doing, which is a reference line, and it's going to draw it on level 1, and I'm just going to make it, we'll make it 20 feet. 6 is fine. And then I'm just going to pick this, and I'm going to create form. It's going to create a plane, and I'll make that, let's just make it 11 feet tall, maybe. We can go to shaded if we, um, and then I'm going to pick it and divide it. It's like we've been doing. And then I'm going to change the divisions over here to fixed distance instead of fixed number. Then I'm going to set the distances to equal these distances. So 11, 8, 7, 8, 9, 7, 1. So this would be 11.8971, right? And you'll see it reset. And the other one I think is 20.6064. Remember, put inches in. Right, and it'll sort of set the proportion for you. So let me double check that. 20 point, yeah, that's it. So then we'll turn the nodes on. All right. And you can adjust the size of the extrusion if you want to, or you can just kind of ignore it. And if you pick the division, you can actually change it to beginning, and it'll justify it down in the bottom left-hand corner. So you can just let the surface embed in whatever you have and adjust the hole in your wall or something, but it's kind of up to you. All right, so now we got to bring the families in. So I'm just going to go to Insert and Load Family, and here's the families, and we can talk about all of them. I'll just talk about a couple of them right now. It's going to load them. These families are generic models. Let's overwrite the existing version. And they'll come up under your families under generic models. So you'll see all these 4 points. So there's a surfaced one and a solid one. So I'm going to do the surfaced one first. So I'll pull out just the 4 point center line surfaces, and I'm going to drag this guy in. And they're going to want to place clockwise from the top left. So I'm just going to come in and 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So it'll place that guy in. And this is the one that has a line. It repeats very nicely, but it's going to end up with a line in the middle of it. And there's really no way to get rid of that, but let's just repeat it and take a look at it. So it repeats fine, and actually ends up very neatly on the edges, like you might want. But if I hide this guy, the unfortunate thing about it is that this line appears. It's possible maybe that you could go in, let's look at the generic models, because these guys are generic models. You could go in and try to get rid of it using the generic model override. So like if, let's override this color, whoops, override the color to yellow. Right, but it does all of them to yellow. So I'm not sure how you want to do it. You can still kind of see it, so I'll undo that. There's another pattern that I'm using, so let me just reset the temporary hide isolate. The alternate pattern is the 2, so if I go to surfaces, there's a surfaces 2, and if I flip it out, which you don't need to reinsert it once it's in, you can just flip it out on the left hand side. I can hide this. element again, and you'll see that this one repeats without the line. The problem is that on the edges, it ends up with a little missing piece, and this one overlaps on the edges. So it's not quite as neat. If I turn this guy back on, I did make, some little, like you can tab select in and pick just one of these. So I just picked one. And I did make these little fillers, but, if you look, there's going to be surfaces filler, and you can flip those out, right? And this one just happens to have a different material in it. If I tab select in and get it, you can edit type and update that material. So I think yellow. Yeah, do yellow. Click OK. There are little filler pieces you can come and put in, so we could talk about that, or you can just embed it in the wall and it'll run into the wall and nobody will see it. And then again, you can flip it out for the solid one. So the solid ones work the same. So if I use the solids 2, right, it's just going to flip it out for the solid version, except for the one, that I flipped out, and they're all are solid fillers too. So if I go in and sort of tab select this guy, I can pick the solid filler 2, right, and it'll fill that. Again, these guys, if you edit type, you should be able to update, the material for them, right? So, except for the ones that you've put in uniquely, you'd have to do those individually. So, edit type and fill that in with the brick, right? Individually. Okay. And then you kind of have your wall. Once you're done in here, you click Finish Mask. And then if you don't want to see the background area here, this thing right there, you can turn the masses off. So the masses get turned off by either saying Show Mask by View Settings, right? Or sorry, yeah, Show Mask by View Settings. And it should turn them off. Or if you go to VV and double check that the masses are off here too, then the masses, that little thing won't show. These guys are generic models. If you need to get back down into the mass, though, you're going to have to turn the masses back on. So you can go to Show Mass Form and Floors, and it'll turn them on everywhere, and you can pick it and edit in place, and then you get back sort of down into the family. But anyway, we'll talk about it more on Thursday.